meaning really when we say love one another? What does that mean to you? See, I think in the way that we've come to our societal system of love is more of a action reward type of love. We are training ourselves from a very young age that if we're good and we behave, we get a lollipop, right? I was good in the doctor's office and I get a lollipop on the way out, right? We constantly then, as we grow up, we are training ourselves in this reward for behavior mentality. And the problem is we tend to translate that into our relationships, and then that's what our love becomes like, right? Like we work hard, we do a really good job, we get a raise, right? Most of the time. If we are a good spouse and we're showing love to our spouse, then we typically get rewarded, and our spouse is nice back to us, right? We think that's love. We might do well on exams and our homework, and we're rewarded with a good grade, right? Maybe we are doing things for people, and then they turn around and do something nice for us. Reward for our behavior. Unfortunately, that's not this biblical perspective of love that we're really talking about. See, in the Greek language, there are hundreds of different words for the word love. There's different types and different fields, right? When you're talking about a love for your spouse, that's an eros love. That's a romantic, passionate love for someone else. There's how many are Emmaus or Chrysalis folks here? You've heard the word agape love, right? Agape is an unconditional love. That means I'm giving to you and don't need anything back. I'm just going to make sure that you have it. I think what Jesus is saying in today's text is it can kind of be the agape love, because obviously he knows they can't repay him, right, for what he's about to do. But it's a little bit different because his audience is specific. He's talking about a love for family. This in Greek would be storge. S-T-O-R-G-E, storge. Storge is a family love. A love in which we take care of one another, provide for each other, and we incorporate people into our communal group in which we sacrifice and do things for the common good of the whole, right? Not everyone has that family type, though. Not everybody has that family structure. Going through Francis Chan's book, Letters to the Church. And he is talking to this gang member at his church who comes, he gets saved, and he's welcomed into the church, and he's going to all these functions. And he pulls him aside one day and says, I'm trying to understand why you're talking about this church as a family. This isn't like any family I've ever known. You have to be here on Sunday morning dressed in a certain way. You have to show up to the right classes and volunteer for the right things. And if not, you're going to be excluded from those things. And it's like, this isn't any family that I'm aware of. See, he comes from a gang family. In that family, you do whatever it takes in order for the good of everyone. You are there for each other, you take care of each other, and you look out for each other. You lift each other up when you've fallen down, you provide in the moments that someone else can't provide. You are a family. That's the family that I'm used to. That's the family, if you read in the book of Acts, that's the church. That's the church that was started. It's not a church of programs. It's not a church of pieces and parts, but it's this love of each other like a family in which we grow and we thrive and we are, again, in a sense, right? And I want you to take a look at the way Jesus treated his disciples. He loved them, did he not? In today's text, we pick it up kind of at the end of what was happening. He's talking about things. There's a huge section in here of him just sitting in the upper room talking to the disciples about different things and this and that. And he has gotten to the moment where he waited for Judas to leave. Now we all know why Judas left, right? Judas left to betray him. Just before this, Jesus calls his friends and disciples together. He takes off his outer garment, he wraps a towel around his waist, and he washes their feet. In a moment of sacrifice, in a moment of loving you and giving you what I can right now, Jesus sacrifices. Even though he knew that Judas was going to betray him, he washed his feet. He went to Peter, knowing, because he's Jesus, knowing that Peter is going to deny him in public in just a few hours. He washed his feet. Knowing that Thomas was going to doubt and not believe a word of it, Jesus washed his feet. Jesus was always doing things for people even though he knew they were going to hurt him. He knew in advance. Now imagine if you could, you knew that somebody in advance was going to hurt you or do something harmful to you, would you wash their feet? Would you be gracious to them? Would you give them your life? He did. Because we are family to him. There's a reason in today's text, though, that it starts in verse 31 and says, as soon as Judas left the room. See, he knew Judas's plan. He knew the purpose of Judas was to set forward things in motion that would cost him his life, but that would then give everyone else life, right? And so this next part that he was about to say and share with his disciples, it wasn't for Judas. It was for them. And so he said, the time has come for the Son of Man to enter into the glory, and God will be glorified because of him. And I'm assuming that that statement, the disciples were like, what? And since God receives glory because of the Son, he will give his own glory to the Son, and he will do so at once. So he's like, this is it, guys. This is the time. This is the moment. This is the end of our relationship here on earth. I got to go do this thing where I'm going to die, and you guys are all going to live. But don't worry, I'll be okay. He says, dear children, I will be with you only a little longer. And as I told the Jewish leaders, you will search for me, but you can't come where I'm going. Now, why did he say that? Because his love for you meant that he was going to go to a place where you can't go anymore. When you are in this family with Jesus, when you are accepting of this love that he has for you, there is no death. And so he had to tell them, hey, I'm going to go, and I'm going to take care of death. That's why you can't go there. You can't go there because by the time I'm done doing what God sent me here to do, you won't have that to go to anymore. That's love, is it not? And he says, this new commandment I'm giving you, love one another. And in case they didn't understand what that meant, just as I have loved you, you should love one another. That's pretty difficult. That's a big task. I think I'd rather take the Ten Commandments than this one. Right? That's a checkbox. This is subjective. This is hard. This is difficult. But, Jesus, why do we have to love one another? What if they're mean to us? What if they're not nice? What if they're trying to kill us? Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. Ooh, that's one. Other translations say, your love for one another will prove the existence of God. Wow. Jesus demonstrates this love for his family. And then he asks them to love each other the same way, right? You and me. We're part of this family now. And if so, then we need to love each other the same way he loved us. Answer me a question about how many times we show love to someone with strings attached. Right? I'm going to make those amazing cookies for the carry-in next week because I really like those cookies. We do it a lot, don't we? Right? Maybe we are loving because we want someone to love us in return. We are loving because we're expecting those emotions and feelings to be reciprocated. We are loving because we want to be loved back. And unfortunately, this relationship with Jesus is one in which Jesus gives up his life so that everyone else can have it. Loving each other the way I first loved you. I had more in the book, Letters to the Church by Francis Chan. I started that this week, and it's been overwhelming for me. But he describes what's happening to Jesus at his crucifixion. I know we're far from Easter, but we're still allowed to talk about it. Right? You're talking about a guy who was the Son of God. Right? Even when the devil was tempting him, he said, I know that you could call a legion of angels and they would save you if you jump off this temple. Right? Even the devil knows the power that this guy has. He was arrested in the garden when he was praying. But that's sinking. He was led off to a mock trial, if you will, in which he was found guilty of nothing and yet convicted and to be put to death. Let that sink in. He was then dragged out into the court square, in which the soldiers would beat him, they would whip him, they would flog him, and eventually make him carry his own instrument of death all the way across town, in which he would be nailed through his wrists and through his feet to this giant piece of wood and hoisted into the air. And through all of that, this Jesus said, Father, forgive them. That's the love that Jesus is talking about. That's love. Even though you are trying to destroy me, even though you are trying to tear me apart, even though you are trying to break me down, I have to make sure that above all else, that my sacrifice for you is just as good as it is for the other person. Because if I don't, then I'm excluding people in this salvation. That's storge. That's family love. He's calling us to do this on purpose. It should be part of our purpose. That even strangers, even people that we dislike, even people that hurt us, those are the people that we should love with grace and mercy the most. And as we prepare our hearts on this Holy Communion, this World Communion Sunday, as we prepare our hearts to take Holy Communion, I want to leave you with the words of John. In 1 John 3, 18 through 19. Struggling to get through this. 1 John 3, 18 through 19. He says, "Dear children, let's not merely say that we love each other. Let us show the truth by our actions. Our actions will show that we belong to the truth, and so we will be confident when we stand before God." Wow. I think it is good that we let our actions show the truth that we believe. It's time for us to love one another. Amen. Amen.